friends. This is Wheezy from the What Is Truth Podcast. Hope everyone is doing rather exquisite. This is a small clip, and if you fancy listening to the entire episode, please visit the link tree below. This is due to the heavy censorship on this particular platform, so I hope you guys understand and hope to catch you on these other platforms. Much love, luscious friends, wherever you may be listening to. If you are tuning in live on Rumble, Odyssey, what's up? And if you are listening to this sometime in the future through your audio podcast, what's up to y'all? And what's up to y'all all over the world? I mean, Australia, got a good little crowd there. Canada, shout out to Canada. Shout out to the goddamn UK. Hell yeah, shout out to everyone. And I want to welcome a lovely friend of mine, Mr. Seven Seas. What's up, Seven?
How you doing, man? Thanks for having me.
Always, dude. It's always a treat, man. Always fire. Today we are covering a subject that I had no clue about, man. I saw your ex post, and this is LifeTouch Photos, man.
Yeah.
What's going on there?
So, the other day, me and my girlfriend were basically just like talking about, school photos and getting those done, and it kind of put like a random thought in my head, and I was like, who is the company behind all that? Because it seems like everybody gets their like school photos from there and stuff, and so I was like, what is this LifeTouch company, and like where did it come from, who owns it, and things like that. And after I started digging, like I was blown away at the connections, and I'm happy to get into them and kind of give everybody like the rundown of everything that I found and kind of what I think is maybe being used for. I obviously don't have like proof of like the end goal or like what that is, but just kind of looking at like all of their behaviors and connections and stuff, man, like I wouldn't trust it. I wouldn't let my kids get their picture taken there now, knowing what I know.
Yeah, man, it's super creepy because LifeTouch is something that, I mean, especially if I don't know how it is outside of the United States, but at least here in the States, going through school, kindergarten, high school, everyone used LifeTouch for their photos, man. It's almost like, in retrospect, now that I think about it, it's almost like if you didn't get your photos through LifeTouch, you were not in the club. You were not welcome. It's like you are almost like the vaccine schedule for schools. Mm-hmm. If you don't get your vaccine schedule, you are not allowed in school. You don't get your LifeTouch photos, you are not allowed. you are cast out. Yeah, dude, it's crazy, man.
I remember that too. Like back in the day, when like that and like yearbook pictures were big and stuff, and like my family couldn't ever really afford to like do anything like that, and so like my picture was never in the yearbook and things, and so I did miss out on that stuff. And like the yearbook signing stuff and like having those mementos and things like that. So it does, like, in a way, like socially ostracize you a little bit.
Yeah. And you have to wonder if that's by design. Mm-hmm. Like you want to be part of the cool kids. You want to participate. You don't want to be an outcast. Just like so many other things, that we've experienced recently. Like if you weren't vaccinated, you were bad. Yeah. You need to be vaccinated. Exactly. You aren't allowed in my store if you're not vaccinated. It's the same goddamn playbook, man. Try to make you feel less for not going along with their schemes.
Yeah.
And now, goddamn, man, just the thread that I read on that you put on your Twitter, it's like, goddamn, I don't want my kids taking any lifetime photos ever again.
Yeah, man, it's crazy, and just to kind of get into it a little bit. So there's this company, and it's called Shutterfly, and so Shutterfly actually acquired LifeTouch Photography back in 2018. They ended up purchasing LifeTouch for $825 million.
God damn.
For a photography company. And as I started to do a little more digging on, like, you know, what LifeTouch sort of does, like the scope of its operations, it is like contracted with public education to basically provide that service to basically every public school in America, and I believe most of Canada, if not all of Canada. So that, you know, that's a lot of people and their kids and stuff. And like when you start to look at what they did, it was you're basically providing like a year over year age progression, like snapshot, high resolution photo of your child that goes to this company. And you know, with Shutterfly especially, kind of concerning is that they're like a cloud-based service. So they work a lot with like image file hosting and stuff. And so, you know, to me, the fact that LifeTouch has now been acquired by this company and basically rolled into it, they're digitizing these photos, and they're, you know, clearly like storing them on servers somewhere, and they've become cloud-based. And so, especially when you consider the fact that like they're not rolling in there with analog cameras anymore, like they're using all digital cameras, so it is a digital file, and they're taking that back to the company, and Lord knows like where they're storing it and things like that, and that stuff's a little harder to quantify. But yeah, so I would say at least since 2018, they've been digitizing those photos and having them on their company servers, at least at some point, of your children.
That's creepy, man. That's the surveillance state, bro.
Yeah.
And yeah, and some of your and I'm sure we're gonna get deeper as we go along, but using the likeness of our kids without us knowing, without our consent as parents, man, that shit, it's not only scary, but it kind of pisses me off.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I don't consent for my kid to be used for AI models and any of this shit, man. Fuck that.
Yeah.
And,
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, man. So wherever you want to start, man. And I just want people to get primered, because this was jaw-dropping for me just when I saw your post just a few days ago. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
But once you do a little research, it all makes sense, man, because this is what has been happening for many, many years now.
Yeah.
And I guess the mask is coming off, man, but it's nothing new, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's crazy because, like, you know, when you look at it, you know, in just the like frame of mind of like, you know, your kids going to school, everybody gets their school pictures. It's like the seemingly innocent thing, right? And it turns out that like they were able to use your trust of that, you know, seemingly innocent system to then infiltrate it and sort of instill these more nefarious you know, methods and applications for the photos and stuff that you know, it's one of those things that you never even really think about too, you know. It's like, I never thought that they could weaponize that against us, kind of thing.
Yeah. But again, using something innocuous, or, you know, that seems harmless enough, innocent, that's probably the best way to go about it. If you're these evil psychopaths scheming shit, you're gonna use stuff like that. It's I mean, it's not very different from, you know, the Trump campaign ran on Save Our Children, and then they pushed that that movie with that creepy ass Tim Ballard.
Oh yeah,
The Sound of Freedom.
Yep.
And these are, you find out more about them, they're all fucking scumbags. They're all pedophiles. They're all rapists.
Yeah.
But they're
Child
hiding
traffickers.
behind, yeah, this shield of using kids. Nah, man, it's we're trying to save kids. We're out here to help them. Donald Trump is here to end pedophilia.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy because like the ones that say that they're fighting something are usually the ones that are propagating it, you know.
Yeah, they're just projecting.
Yeah,
if you want to put it that way.
Yeah, like you look at the climate change thing, and they're like, our planet is dying, so we need to cut off plants' food and reduce carbon. And it's like, well, that's what's going to cause the planet to die. And that it's that inversion that they like pretend like they're doing the right thing when really they're doing the worst thing. And yeah,
well,
man,
or how they hold their summits, you know, in these places, and everyone that attends flies their personal planes that throw out so much more emissions than a commercial jetliner.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, they're there to save our planet, and yet they're making the biggest footprint possible.
Absolutely. Yeah. Bernie Sanders,
laughable.
Taylor Swift, all those people.
Yeah.
So just to kind of stick on, I guess, Shutterfly for a second. So I have this news article that came out about them a couple of years ago. Let me see if I can find the right. There we go. In the 2020 quarantine, they were digitizing the libraries. The digital future will be completely edited. I missed the rest of that.
Oh, sorry, bro. I didn't know. Yeah.
Edited and censored Ministry of Truth style. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we're getting to the point, man, where it's like they're just completely making stuff up, and people are calling them out on it, and they're just ignoring those people and moving on to the next thing. It's honestly like kind of wild to see in real time happening, like the hubris that they have for that.
Yeah.
So in 2021, so just a few years ago, Shutterfly, that same company that owns LifeTouch and has for the past 7 years, they were implicated in a lawsuit that was filed by a class of Illinois residents who claimed that the photo sharing company illegally collected and stored their biometric data without their consent, violating Illinois state privacy law. So Shutterfly was forced to pay a $6.75 million class action settlement as a result of the lawsuit filed by plaintiffs Vernita Miracle Pond and Samantha Periff, who had alleged in Illinois state court that Shutterfly uses facial recognition technology to collect and store the biometric identifiers of anyone who appears in a photo uploaded to its platform.
God damn, bro.
Yeah.
And like usual, my boy 7 Seas is providing receipts. This is the thing for anyone that isn't familiar with Seven's work. Check out his Twitter, follow him there. But he puts links to all these articles, so it's not just he's just pulling shit out of his ass. It's right here. It's right in front of you. There's the receipts.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where it's just, I mean, I'm just like stating the things that happen. I'm not like, you know, trying to dramatize it, or it's just, you just stick to the facts. And I mean, people are smart enough, I think, to make their own decisions and make their own interpretations, and trying to like twist it to be something like it's already bad enough. I didn't have to embellish at all. Like, this is some pretty grotesque stuff that we're about to get into here. And so this is from LifeTouch.com. This kind of goes over the, you know, confirmed in 2018 that Shutterfly had acquired them for $825 million. And so these are the people that are taking pictures of your kids year after year, you know, getting those like age progression samples that you actually pay for. So not only are they like collecting the biometric data of your children, but they're charging you for it, which is even worse. So Shutterfly, though, is like not its own independent entity by any means. So it's actually owned by a company called Apollo Global Management. And Apollo Global Management, like, everybody should be paying attention to this company. It should be on everybody's radar, because it is like really, really nefarious. And when people talk about things like BlackRock and Vanguard and State Street, you know, there are the big five, but they're not like the end all be all, right? They have sort of like a hierarchy, and Apollo Global sort of serves as like one of those middleman companies, because at the end of the day, BlackRock, Vanguard, State Street, they do own basically everything on the planet. But then you also have to get into like the nuance of, who runs those companies that they own and who are they connected to and things like that. Because with Apollo Global Management, so they acquired Shutterfly in 2019. So the year after Shutterfly acquires LifeTouch, Apollo Global buys Shutterfly. And then what Apollo Global Management kind of is there was this company back in the 80s, and they were called Drexel Burnham Lambert. And they were basically like responsible for propagating the junk bond crisis that we had in the 80s. It was a little bit of like an economic controversy, similar to the recession, but not as impactful. Essentially they, the company was found guilty of committing the junk bond fraud. And Michael Milken, the CEO at the time, he actually went to jail for that. And he was in jail for a while. During Trump's first term, he ended up pardoning Michael Milken like 30 years later. So Michael Milken gets charged in the 80s and, has like already served his sentence and everything. And, when Trump wins the first time presidency, he pardons this guy, which I always thought was like very, very weird to do it like so much after the fact for this random guy that was like a huge, investment guy back in the 80s.
All right. We have to give a shout out to This Is My Story. She just threw us 50 shekels.
Oh, nice.
For her message reads, "Here's to my two favorite men. Have a cheer on me. Enjoy." Nice. I'm going to forward that to my man, Seven, because that's my dog. Oh, yeah. But thank you. Shout out to This Is My Story. Appreciate you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and, that every bit helps because CNN's not going to cover this. Tucker Carlson's not going to cover stuff like this. That's their job not to. And so, if these stories like coming out and getting visibility and stuff, I think is important, and that helps keep the lights on, so we can keep our internet going, so we can keep researching and stuff. So thank you. But so this Drexel Burnham Lambert company, man, it's got some like really weird connections. Like, Nigel Farage of Brexit.
Yeah.
He worked at Drexel Burnham Lambert back in the 80s.
God damn.
And then it's like when Trump is running and, the MAGA movement's happening, Brexit's happening with Boris Johnson and all that. It's like he didn't pop up out of nowhere, like he's been a player for a while. Michael Milken is out and he does like his own conferences. He has the Milken Institute. So it works like the Manhattan Institute or the Hudson Institute. It's just like a think tank to push, the agenda and market it in a way that sounds good. And he's invited people like Brock Pierce to speak at the Milken Institute. Brock Pierce, obviously, like having connections to Epstein. He had those child rape allegations, back in like the early 2000s. He's the co-founder of Tether. So he's like tied at the hip to Howard Lutnick, who is the Secretary of Commerce under Donald Trump. And then Trump's crypto company also partnering with Brock Pierce. So that's a whole other, web to get into for another day. But just interesting to see like the multiple crossovers with like this random company from the 80s. Because after Michael Milken was charged and the company was found liable, essentially what happened was a lot of the Drexel Burnham Lambert alumni, so a lot of the people from there, ended up starting their own company and basically just bringing a lot of the employment, like employees over, a lot of the same practices, methodologies, and policies. And it was run by this guy named Leon Black. And Leon Black was in charge of Apollo Global, when it acquired Shutterfly back in 2019. So he was running the company that owned LifeTouch for at least 2 years prior to him stepping down.
Yeah, and let's remind people who Leon Black was. This is a nasty son of a bitch with lots of money.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Super loaded.
Yeah, he so he's run Apollo Global for years and years, and when Epstein stuff started to come out a while back, his name came up a lot, and it turns out that after they did like a congressional investigation, that he had paid him, I think it was close to $170 million by the time like their relationship had quote unquote ended, if it ever did.
Yep. There you go, Leon Black. There's that nasty son of a bitch.
Yeah.
Chairman of the board of directors of Apollo Global Management.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so he is still there, but they just took him out of like the CEO role to save face, kind of.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's a nasty guy, man, because that it also ended up coming out that there were multiple accusations of him having committed like sexual assault against a minor at Jeffrey Epstein's townhouse in New York. I believe there were 3 or 4 different lawsuits that ended up coming out that had alleged that Leon Black was one of the person that was soliciting the child trafficking services of Jeffrey Epstein. And the fact that he had paid him $170 million for what is still like very, very confusing today in retrospect, like trying to look back and see like what Jeffrey Epstein had done to warrant, such high payments from this guy. Occam's razor to me kind of tells me that I think I know, what that money was for. And I think everybody else is smart enough to know, but just to make sure Leon Black doesn't try to sue me or something, I'll let you infer your own conclusions.
Yeah.
And then obviously there's the whole thing with Leon Black. He had to settle, with the U.S. Virgin Islands as well. He had to pay them, I think it was like close to $70 million, I think, in restitution because of I believe it was a tax avoidance scheme that he had cooked up with Jeffrey Epstein to go through the Virgin Islands.
Yeah, 62.5 million to settle
Yeah.
it. God damn, bro.
Yeah.
If that doesn't scream guilt,
Yeah.
I don't know what does.
Yeah, man. And so what we have is like, we're about, I would say a quarter of the way, maybe halfway into this thing. And we've already hit like 4 different lawsuits about like biometric and facial data recognition collections, and child trafficking, and money laundering, and Jeffrey Epstein.
Yeah.
And so the one thing I do want to kind of look at, though, is so this Apollo Global Management Company, I think you got some music playing in the background there.
Oh, shit. Yeah. Is it too loud?
I could just hear it like kind of coming in and out. No big deal, though. So this Apollo Global Management Company, they actually own a lot of things. Like I started to look, and there's a lot of like children-facing companies and stuff on here, and we'll kind of get into like the different assets that they own and stuff. So one of the people that ended up being a senior director for Apollo Global Management, I think this is really interesting. So her name was Cheryl Gordon, and I believe it was announced back in like 2002 that she had joined the board of Apollo Global. And Cheryl Gordon is important because she is the wife of the CIA director that was responsible for helping to set up In-Q-Tel, the venture capital firm on behalf of the CIA. And so now we have the CIA involved, and we have his name was Alvin Krongard. He was appointed by George Tenet, and they both have decades of corruption, military industrial complex operations, shady ties, things like that. Alvin Krongard was also working with Paul Bremer at the time to get Eric Prince contracts in Iraq. So there's, you know, always been like a little bit of a speculation that Alvin Krongard and Eric Prince's father were very, very close, and that they were able to basically leverage that, you know, personal relationship to set Eric Prince up, and it essentially inject him into like the intelligence and private military corporation groups overnight after the wake of 9/11. So, you know, a lot of the stuff that we've covered with 9/11 and some of the people involved and, you know, what it actually led to. I mean, I think it's a pretty good indication that, you know, this was one of those things that was an intentioned result of 9/11, something that they intended as like a byproduct of the Patriot Act and the war on terror and everything like that starting right after. It's honestly kind of wild, man, because like here's, you know, the thing about Cheryl Gordon marrying A.B. Krongard. And I believe this goes into Krongard, you know, having, so he's Alvin Krongard is an especially like shady character. He's not super attached to Apollo Global by any means. But he's like connected with John Hopkins. He also, oversaw like Bankers Trust, which ended up funding like a lot of, tech companies. As well as Alex Brown and Sons, which funded, like, helped seed fund Microsoft, and a couple of other, like, very, very big tech company. I think Apple may have been one of them as well. But you guys are more than welcome to go look at that. There's tons of stuff on there because, essentially, you know, Alex Brown and Sons became, it was like the precursor, essentially, to In-Q-Tel, becoming a thing. But the reason that I think that's important is because Alvin Krongard, you know, with his close relationship with Eric Prince and the whole 9/11 thing that happened, getting him those Blackwater contracts, because Alvin Krongard was actually on the board of Blackwater. And, you know, so there was a huge conflict of interest there, I think, with like his intimate knowledge from being the CIA director to be able to then just go work at a private military contractor group right after you had secured them the contracts and stuff to help establish them as a, you know, like a reputable company. But now Apollo Global, that same company that owns Shutterfly, the one, you know, run by Leon Black, for quite a while, they actually own Blackwater now too, or at least what used to be Blackwater. And so in it looks like 2011. So it says the private security firm once known as Blackwater. This is when they changed their name to Academy, because when Blackwater was in Iraq, they committed the Nisour Square massacre, which they had basically indiscriminately killed 17 people, innocent civilians, and that came out. And, you know, that was like a pretty huge controversy, but Paul Bremer was actually like trying to run interference from them being held accountable for any of that. And so, you know, after the dust had settled on there, they basically changed their name to Academy to kind of try to get away from that controversy.
Isn't that slimy, bro? Like,
yeah,
you get involved in something so disgusting, terrible, war crimes. Let's just change our name. We're gonna rebrand, and we'll be back in business in no time. This is insane.
Yeah, and it's crazy too because Drexel Burnham Lambert did basically the exact same thing. It's like they got in trouble for the junk bond crisis, so they just restructured under a new name too and pretend like nothing ever happened.
No one will ever notice.
Mm-hmm.
And sadly, most people will never notice.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's why it's important, you know, to always like follow the money and follow these people, because like the companies change, you know, the politicians change, but you know, if you have names and you know hold people to account on an individual level for their participation in these things, they'll never escape it for as long as they live.
Yeah.
You know, like Peter Thiel won't be able to change his name and then nobody know who he is, right? But these companies can do that all day, every day.
What did Mitt Romney say back in the day? Like when he was running, he's like, corporations are people, everyone.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, technically, Citizens United basically made them people. So thanks, Obama.
Yeah, man. That's crazy.
Yeah. And so, you know, a couple years later in 2014, they end up doing the exact same thing, basically. So they merged with this company that's called Triple Canopy, which was kind of like another private security, you know, I would consider them private military contractors. And they both merged into something that was called Constellus. And so it says Constellus is now owning, it owns Triple Canopy, Constellus Limited, Strategic Social. And Strategic Social is important as well, because that was where Laura Logan's husband worked, as he was working through that company with the JSOP, the Joint Psychological Operations Unit, in Iraq to basically drum up anti-Islamic sentiment to encourage Americans, you know, to support the war in Iraq. And that's where Laura Logan met him, and they, you know, got together. And then I think she ended up having, you know, some sort of instance in Egypt where she had claimed that she was like assaulted by a bunch of Muslims. So I always thought that was kind of strange.
Sounds like a wonderful love story. And Laura Logan, dude, it sounds like Larry, I guess you could say Larry. Laura Loomer has taken up the mantle and essentially doing the same shit, man, drumming up. It's the Islamics, it's the people from Qatar behind all this.
Yeah.
Don't talk about Israel at all. You know, it's these other guys.
It's silly too, man, because like you have the pro-Israeli people pointing at Qatar when Qatar is like behind the president. Like they're helping, they're signing deals with him. They gave him a fucking plane. Do you remember that? That's what he's using for Air Force One now or something.
Yeah, it's like friendly fire, bro. Like,
yeah,
why are you guys talking shit about your homies? Like, calm down.
It reminds me of like Nick Fuentes arguing with Candace. It's like, you guys are on the same team, you want the same things, and you're funded by the same people, and you're fake fighting to like pretend you're not. I don't.
Yeah, right now there's the Ian Carroll's in the little fake fight that's going on. Did you see that one?
Yeah, I did. And what's funny is like, I appreciate that Nick is calling him out, but that doesn't make me like Nick or trust him at all or anything like that. Because like, bro, you were at J6, like telling people to take down the barriers and disregard the police, and you know, you didn't even get charged with anything, but you got grandmas that didn't convince anybody to do anything that got charged. He's wrapped up with Milo, who's like, Milo's basically like FBI informant, and
Milo's saying he's got Nick Fuentes' gay sex tape.
I saw that.
Did you see that?
Yeah, and you know, honestly, Milo went through that whole, you know, converting back to being a straight guy, right? Yeah. I don't know a single actual straight guy that would like openly admit that they possess gay porn. So that's weird. And the fact that he's been sitting on it for years, if he does actually have it, that's also like, okay, so what is the point in the timing of this, you know? Yeah. And why wasn't it like, I don't know about you, man. I basically assume that, you know, he's gay, but it doesn't matter. You know, it just proves that he's a liar, which I kind of already assumed anyway.
Well, Elon Musk called him a fed. That happened, was it yesterday or the day before?
Yeah.
When Elon Musk, the biggest fed of them all, is calling you a fed, you got some issues.
Yeah, I thought that was crazy, man. I ended up having to call that out, and I was just like going off the top of my head. I'm like, how many different ways is this guy involved with the government that I can just type without looking anything up? And so I was like, I mean, you know, according to like all reports, Starlink owns over 70% of whatever the satellites are, you know, that there's, whether they're balloons or they're actually in Earth's orbit or whatever. I don't know. I can't prove it.
All I know, hell, dude.
Yeah, all I know
Irie
is
B.
What is it?
Irie B. Thank you for that, man. I'm gonna split it with my man. That's it. God damn it, dude. Y'all making it rain, man. But appreciate you guys. That's a lot of love there, man. So shout out to Irie B for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
He threw the big old 100, man.
Oh wow,
yeah,
big bucks.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, man. When it comes to like the Starlink stuff and like the whole satellite thing, I don't know whether it's balloons that are just suspended. If they are able to achieve like low Earth orbit, you know, I could kind of maybe see that a little bit. But that's also assuming that, you know, everything that NASA says about like the physics of the Earth is true, and I don't trust them either. But all I know is that like if you put the Starlink up, you do get internet, and I don't know how to explain that without actually, you know, basically just assuming that there is something providing a signal somewhere, and that's all I have to go on. Yeah. And so that was that strategic social thing, right? So they were involved with the Iraq stuff and everything like that, and that's where you get Laura Logan, and she's connected to Mike Flynn, who's also pushing the anti-Muslim stuff right now as well. It just feels like we're reliving the Bush administration a little bit with this, and then. So after Blackwater changes to Academy and then merges with Constellus, or merges with Triple Canopy to become Constellus, they get bought by Apollo Global Management in 2016. So it says, Constellus, a leading provider of operational support and risk management services, announced today that it has entered into a binding agreement for a managemental buyout of Constellus by a consortium of investors. And it's headed by affiliates of certain funds managed by affiliates of Apollo Global Management. Together with its consolidated subsidiaries, Apollo will include Jason DeJonker, the chief executive officer of Constellus, Dean Basaki, the president of Constellus, and certain other members of management, and is expected that the consortium of investors will also include Forte Capital, Manhattan Partners, and a group of existing co-investors. I believe Leon Black is also on the board of Manhattan Partners, if I remember correctly. So he just comes right back up, the Epstein, you know, connections and everything like that, right back in with this Apollo Global.
Have you worked on the web, or will you be showing it at some point?
I don't have a specific like Apollo Global Management web, but I do have a couple of webs that include Apollo Global that we could get into.
After all, you are Web-Adamus. It may have landed for some, but probably not.
Web-Adam. It just reminds me of like a nickname they would give to like a basketball player in the 70s or something.
Web-Adamus.
I think I'm thinking of like Spud Webb.
I told you, bro. It just came in my head, and then I was like, "Oh, it's gonna sound good." And then when I said it, I was like, "Oh yeah, that wasn't good." It was a drum roll and a fail.
It's the best and most confident one that I've heard. So I'll give you that. You got that going for you.
Here we go. Yeah, bro, that was rough. That was rough.
It'll come to you. You'll find the perfect one.
Curious what Wheezy thinks. Because Weezy usually comes at something, and I mean that with all due respect, Weezy, because you usually are pretty good at coming at it from an angle that you have no political, leanings one way or the other. So you're a little bit more able to come at this from different angles.
And it was in one of those areas a couple of blocks away from the World Trade Center site, apparently where that passport was found. The FBI announcing that it has found the passport of one of the high